Xavier wins 78-68. As you all know, I'm going to start the show like I always do. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me, because just want to make sure before we get too far down the road here, if you are listening on Spaces right now, you want to go back and check it out later, you can on YouTube. I'm also live streaming on YouTube. I already see somebody calling in. We're going to get to all the calls in just a few minutes, but I want to quickly share my thoughts, kind of recap what I saw in this game. And what I want to begin with is I want to start off with and a shout out sounds too juvenile, a massive credit to this coaching staff and what they have been able to do with this team over the last 3 games. They have not been afraid to make adjustments and make big adjustments. We saw it last, a 2-3 zone. It's not something that it's not rocket science, but it worked. That's something that you change in the middle of a game where sometimes you stick with what you're doing and it might not always work out, but that's the team and the identity that you play with. This coaching staff has not been afraid to make changes even within the course of a single game, and that has led to a completely revamped Xavier team over the last 3 games. Now, what we'll see over the course of the season, who knows? But what we've seen over the last 3 games has been extremely different than, or really 4 games now, than what we've seen in the first 3 games of the year, where it looked like Xavier couldn't figure out what they were doing offensively. Things look clunky. Now, there were a lot of points today against West Virginia where the shot clock got down to 5, 6, somewhere in there, and then eventually you're kind of having to put up a tough shot toward the end of the shot clock. That happened more than I'm sure this coaching staff would like, but still, by the end of the game, to be up comfortably, up by 10 at the end of the game and have this game never really in doubt in the second half. I mean, Xavier took the lead. With 6 minutes and 16 seconds left in the first half. Xavier led for the final 26 minutes of the game. The final 26 minutes, Xavier led. So when you look at it from that perspective and what Xavier was able to do over the last 26 minutes, yes, they shot 16 for 25 from 3. Are they going to make 16 threes in every game? No, but they did tonight. That was good enough for a win, and it gives you some confidence going forward, to finish out this non-conference season where, if you're looking at the non-conference now until Big East play starts a month from, what would that be? A month from about 3 weeks away. December 17th is when Big East play starts. Xavier only has 1 high major game remaining in non-conference play, and that's Cincinnati next Friday night for the Crosstown Shootout. A little less than 14 days away, 12 days away now of the Crosstown Shootout. But Xavier has gone from a team that bottomed out at 111th on KenPom. They've already climbed back into the top 100. They're sitting at 89 now. They jumped about 15 spots in a week, and then now they've jumped another 8 spots after this game today. More I'm going to get to you right now. We're going to get to the callers. There's a lot more that I want to talk about from this game that I've noticed, but I don't want to keep everybody waiting. More, go ahead, unmute yourself.
Paul, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
This team, I tell you, it is just a roller coaster of emotions when you watch this team play. But man, is it great now? I have to give a couple of ups to number 1, the coaching staff. I think that they're just doing amazing. But number 2, I really had to give it up to you, Paul.
Yeah.
And to me. And you know why?
Why?
Because you and I were at church this morning.
That is right. We were. Did you pray for a win?
We were offering up major prayers today for a big Xavier win today against those Mountaineers, and God came through for us. So thank you, God, for that. Thank you, Paul, for going to church today. It was great to see you there.
Great to see you as well. Did you have any more thoughts on the game today, Moore?
No, you know what, Paul? You go ahead and take it.
All right. I appreciate you. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Don, I'm going to get to you now. Go ahead, Don.
Yeah, I got 2 things.
Okay.
What in the heck is going on with Messina Moore, who's scoreless again today?
Yep.
And then the other thing, let's take everything we're getting to Anthony Robinson NIL fund and give it to Jovan.
Yeah, I think that's what's going to elevate the ceiling of this team is if you can. I mean, Pop Njai didn't see the floor today. Anthony Robinson, he played 9 minutes, 4 fouls, 4 rebounds, didn't even attempt a shot. If you can get something consistent out of one of those two guys, again, I'm not even I'm not even saying that you're getting over your skis and this becomes a top 5 Big East team. I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying is if you can get something out of the interior, you think back into the first half where there were so many dump off plays. Now, some of it's miscommunication. Some of it is you need to communicate better from the free throw line down on guys coming up and then two guys taking one man. And then, the cutter from the baseline gets left alone and it's an easy lay in or a dunk. That happened twice tonight, at least, if not 3 times. Those are communication errors you can fix, but also there's no intimidation factor for Xavier on the inside. And when you start running into teams that have bigger bodies, that's going to become a major concern. And I thought, West Virginia was fairly long and physical, but they didn't do anything to really bother Xavier that much. As far as rebounding was fairly even, but you look at the points in the paint. West Virginia outscored Xavier 32-14 in the paint. If Xavier doesn't shoot as well as they shot today, and if they don't defend the three as well as if the three ball was what defined the game today, because West Virginia was 6 for 22, Xavier was 16 for 25. That was what defined today's game. And the interior is still something that Xavier has. When I say figure out, they have to get something out of the interior. That something has to happen in the paint, and it doesn't have to be it's almost like you're talking about the Bengals, right? Where if you can get anything out of the defense, then the rest of the way will carry you. If you can just get something around the basket, then maybe you find something the rest of the way, offensively. But what was your other point? What else did you say?
I said, let's take whatever we're giving Anthony Robinson and give it to Jovan.
Oh yeah,
NIL.
Yeah. Jovan. 21. He was somebody before the season. I remember on the preseason podcast, we were talking about players that I thought were going to stand out. And I remember talking to one of the coaches at the last preseason practice that I went to, and Jovan had really stuck out. He was shooting the ball well. He was in the right place. He was doing what he needed to do, and he was making his shots. He was shooting it exceptionally well from three. And I was trying to figure out, okay, did he just have a great day at practice, or is this the kind of consistent player he is? And I remember at the time being told, no, this is really what we think we can get out of him this year. And now all of a sudden you've seen that more consistently. And again, 5 threes tonight. And you'd say, how much can guys like this keep it up? He's now what? He's made 5 threes in multiple games. This is 3 straight games that Jovan's made at least 4 threes. He's made multiple threes in all but 2 games. So, that's the kind of player that you need him to be, because he's somebody that has multiple years of eligibility left. You look at the lines tonight for players that'll be here going forward. Xavier had all but let's see. I'm about to do public math. I'm not going to do that. But Xavier got 11 from Roddy Anderson, 21 from Jovan Milicevic, and 14 from All Right. And all three of them, are players that are going to be here for multiple years. It's obviously if they don't elect to transfer. But what you're looking at this season, what can you get from players that are going to be here going forward? It's positive. It's really positive. And you hope that you can just, as Richard Pitino said after the last home game against Old Dominion, you hope that you can just keep stacking days, right? And that's what we've seen.
Cool. Thanks. I appreciate it. Have a good Thanksgiving, man.
Absolutely. You as well. Thanks, Don. I don't have anybody else in the queue right now to take calls. So if anybody does want to call in, feel free, go ahead. But I think the paint, oh man, FC Cincinnati 3-0. Oh, brutal. All right, back to the show. Sorry. Xavier was out rebounded 33-31, but the points in the paint it's definitely a concern. 32-14. Xavier assisted on 19 of their 25 made shots. There are things that if you're looking at, you're trying to be nitpicky here for Xavier. They were 25 for 55 from the field, but the 16 of Xavier's 25 made shots. 16 of Xavier's 25 shots that they made today were threes. And they went a perfect 12 for 12 from the free throw line. Xavier played about as well today as you could have asked this particular Xavier team to play. And I think that's what's stuck out to me. I think that's what I think that's what's most impressive to me is what this coaching staff has been able to turn around with this team and what they've been able to get out of them. Because through the first 3 games, it looked like they weren't. It just didn't look cohesive. It looked like players weren't in places that they should be. The defense wasn't really working to the point that it needed to, and they've made some adjustments. They've shortened their rotation. I mean, you look today, only 6 players scored for Xavier, and only 6 players played more than 8 minutes or more than 9 minutes. 8 players played total, and only 6 players played the majority of the minutes. I said after the game the other night against Georgia that I wasn't overly concerned about Malik Messina Moore. I'm still not as concerned as I'm sure a lot of you are looking at the stat line, but it's definitely noticeable, through whatever 7 games now that Xavier's played, that he's been scoreless in 3 of them and hasn't been able to even get the shot attempts up that he needs to get. I mean, he's scored 1 or fewer points in 3 of the team's 7 games after leading the team in scoring through the first 2 games. So something to keep an eye on. And again, just another added piece to this Xavier team if they can, kind of continue to improve, from that perspective. I'm seeing on YouTube, let's see, people on YouTube, somebody saying the audio cut out. Is all the audio good? Is the audio good everywhere? I think it is. I think it's all good. Ronnie Smith on YouTube. Ronnie asks, "What's Richard's grade for this W?" I'm assuming that Ronnie's talking about the report card that we'll get, or we might get, from Richard Pitino tomorrow morning. I can't imagine. I mean, I'm sure the interior defense is going to keep Richard up at night, but it's hard to grade this trip. I know Xavier went 1-1. Obviously, your goal as a coaching staff is to go 2-0. You're going down there on a business trip to go 2-0. But it's hard for me to grade this trip for Xavier anything less than a B+. I mean, yeah, I guess it could have been an A if Georgia misses that 3 at the end of the game on Friday night. But this trip, I mean, I preseason, I said Xavier was going to go 1-1. They'd lose to Georgia. They win the game on Sunday. What did they do? They lost the game to Georgia. They win the game on Sunday. This was about as good of a trip for Xavier as you could have asked for. And they were fantastic tonight all the way around. Paul, can you let's go to Oxford Muskie. Paul, can you break down Allright's recent progress and whether, from what you've seen, he looks physically ready to be a Big East guard? I think the physicality for Allright was a major concern for me going into the season. I needed to see him play against high major competition consistently to know that he was going to be able to compete at the Big East. And now we've seen it through 3 games. I like what I've seen from Allright. And I think he's been able to find himself in spots. He's taken good care of the basketball. I mean, he had 3 turnovers today, but in general, I mean, he's playing 29 minutes. The ball's in his hands a lot. I really liked how he's taking care of the basketball. He plays under control. He doesn't try to do too much. His shot, when he's off the ball, he's always in the right place to be open for a 3. I mean, think about today. He was 4 for 4 from 3, and at least 2, if not 3 of his threes were wide open because he was in the right place off the ball. He seems like a player that's starting to figure it out now through the first 7 games. I mean, look, he was the Missouri Valley Freshman of the Year last year. The concern going into the year, though, to your question, Oxford Muskie, was could he compete at this level physically? And now it's hard to sit here and say after 3 games against high major competition that he can't, because he clearly today was fine with it. At least in my opinion, he had 7 points against Iowa, but it was aggressive. He didn't make a three. Those 7 points came inside the arc, and then he makes 4 threes against Georgia and 4 threes against West Virginia. So 8 threes in his last 2 games. And just as an aside, because I tweeted this, Basketball Reference, their game logs go back to 2010, 2011. This is the first time in that stretch. I couldn't go back farther than that, but this was the first time in that stretch that Xavier has made 15 or more threes in a game, in multiple games in the same season. The first time. Trayvon and JP McCura, they only made 15 threes in a game one time, and that was in the Crosstown shootout loss when Trayvon scored 40 points. That was the only game when Trayvon and JP were playing together at Xavier that those teams made 15 threes in a game, which is hard to believe, but now this team has done it twice, and it's something that hasn't been done in at least 16 years and maybe longer than that. Moore, I'm going to get back to you. I don't know if you have another point here. Go ahead, Moore. Did you have another point? Or was it yes, no, maybe? No? Okay.
Hello.
Oh, you there?
I was here. I'm here.
I got you. Go ahead.
All right. I think one of the things that's been really impressive with this team that really has kind of surprised me is not only the way that they share the ball.
Mhm.
I mean, we're talking about they have almost 100 assists already
Yep.
at this point in time in the season, that's pretty outstanding for going through 7 games. But also, I think that another
Their assist
great
rate,
thing about this team-
their assist rate is 10th in the country. 68.8%. They're assisting on 69% of their made shots.
And you got to remember that at the first couple of games of the season, it wasn't that great. They've just really turned it on over the probably, I would say probably since the Iowa game, they've really turned it on. But another point is how much they're taking care of the ball.
Yeah.
I mean, they had 10 turnovers today. We always think of the fact that 10 is 11. You probably want to keep your turnovers below 11 in a game. I mean, they've done a great job of taking care of the ball. I mean, if you can do that, if you can take care of the ball and you can assist at the rate that they're assisting, they've got some weapons that can do some damage.
Well,
again, I'm
go ahead.
going to be with you and say I don't believe that they're going to be someone that's going to be able to compete for the top third of the Big East, but I think that they can come back and surprise some people and maybe finish, 6th maybe in the Big East. And with this team, that completely shocks me from what I saw at the beginning of the season.
Look, I don't think there's no doubt in my mind after watching this team now and after watching the rest of the Big East, UConn and St. John's are at another level, and I'm not going to rehash all of that because I've said it a million times. But 3 through 11 in the Big East, there's no reason that Xavier can't beat, or any of those teams can't beat up on each other. I think Butler is a top 5 team. I think Georgetown is a top 5 team in the Big East. I think Marquette could get there if they figure some things out, but Marquette's looked really shaky. They went down to the wire with Central Michigan yesterday. There's no reason to me, with the way that they've played and the improvement we've already seen, that Xavier can't get to a point now in the next couple months to where they're competing at a healthy level in the Big East. And maybe that says, we'll see. But again, it's the Big East is wide open 3 through 11, and especially wide open 5 through 11. I do think Georgetown and Butler are pretty good teams that'll pose a threat there to not play on Wednesday at Madison Square Garden. But 5 through 11, why not? Anything else more?
The only other thing that I would have to say about Musina Moore is this: he came in to this team as probably one of the biggest gets that we got. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I would say so. A shooter at his level.
Right. But the one thing that I've actually been impressed about him is if you look at his stat line today, he went 0 for 2.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't a guy that was jacking up shots when he didn't feel that he had them. And I respect that out of him. And I think that we've kind of seen that from him, where he's been kind of the facilitator in several games where he's had a high number of assists, but not a whole lot of points. He's seeing the guys who are hot, and he's allowing those guys to take the shots because they're hot.
Yeah.
And he's not forcing his shot. Now, if we could just get Ronnie Anderson to understand that a little bit more, we might be looking even better, because if you don't force your shot and you allow the guys who are hot to take them, that's going to go a long way for the team.
Yeah, I agree. I fully agree on all of that. I do want to give a quick shout out. Make sure everybody that's watching on YouTube right now, make sure you go down and you subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be live a whole lot more as we go through the season. Xavier and other teams here on the Rebound Rundown for post-game shows, things like that. So make sure you subscribe. More, I appreciate your call.
Yeah, thanks, Paul.
Absolutely. Let's go to KY was next up. Go ahead.
How are you, Paul?
I'm doing great. How are you? Actually, I'll be honest. This FC result's kind of bumming me out. But go ahead.
Oh, that's okay. Xavier's got it done.
That's right. Go ahead. What you got for me?
I'm walking to UK's dining hall to chow down after that win.
Mhm.
UK, of course, has not won a high major game. The Xavier Musketeers have.
That's true.
Second off, I want to talk about the physicality of this team. Like, I think that was really prevalent today. Like, I lost count of the amount of jump balls, and I know the refs were not heavy on foul calls today, but I thought it was a very physical contest. Maybe some of that was West Virginia, but I mean, we have impressed me with how much physical side of our game we've shown with all these players being new. And I'd also like to say just the offense has become incredible to watch. The flow, the motion, the spacing, like these players have really gotten under their belts so quickly. And I mean, this is a fun style of basketball we've been playing, Paul.
Yeah, I will say on the offense, there were more situations today where they got down to the end of the shot clock and kind of had to put something up that, all of the made threes covered up a lot of that, because I think that will come, and you could see it for a lot of the game, but there were a lot of possessions where things got stymied early and they couldn't get the ball into the interior. They're playing 4 out, the ball's cycling around the perimeter. And then all of a sudden you can hear the crowd chanting the countdown from 10, and somebody's got to put a shot up along the baseline. And luckily Xavier made enough threes today to overcome that. But I do think from an offensive perspective, for as good as it has looked at points, that I'm sure the coaching staff is going to have some critiques on, hey, look, let's try and figure out what we can do about I don't know if it was Richard Pitino or one of the other coaches that we talked to this summer on the Rebound Rundown. It might have been Josh Schertz, but talking about touchdowns, right? Which are how many shot attempts or made shots you can get in the first 7 seconds of the shot clock. And, there were too many opportunities today, or too many times today, where it wasn't a ton, but there were a handful where it got down to the end, and then you're just, okay, wait, who can just chuck a shot up? And then, a hand grenade ends up in the possession of Roddy Anderson, and he's got to put something up from the free throw line. But all of that is to say that there were plenty of times where the ball cycled around the perimeter and it ended up in the hands of somebody who had some good off-ball spacing and movement to end up with a wide open three. And that was really fun to watch.
Yeah, I don't really have much else. I would like to say, I know Roddy on the offense there's been some wild moments, but on the defensive end, I got to say, like, when he just picks up that ball, he gets a few steals a game. It's always good to watch. And
Yeah.
I don't know, today just feels like a big relief being off this team, getting a win like this. So, man, I'm looking forward to the future games to come. And are we getting Paul on the call for the next one?
You are getting Paul on the call. I will have the broadcast with Steve Wolf for the Black Friday game against Texas A&M Corpus Christi, the Islanders. I will be there. ESPN Plus, 5:00. I think it's 5:30, 5:00. But yeah, looking forward to that one. KY, appreciate you. Enjoy your dinner at UK. El Jefe, you're up now. What's going on, El Jefe?
Hey, Paul, good to talk to you, man.
What's going on?
Well, I gotta, just congratulate the Musketeer Nation there. Man. That's a big win.
That's right.
Going into the season, we spoke before the season started, and I think I pronounced Milkovic's name correctly. If you were impressed by that, but how about the way he played today?
Yeah, he was fantastic. I mean, he's somebody that coming into the year, I was expecting him to shoot the ball well. I don't know if I was expecting him to shoot the ball this well, but he always just seems to make the smart play, and he's not afraid to shoot it. And the nice thing is for a guy like him that when he's not afraid to shoot it, it's going to go in. It's going to go in more often than it's not, at least in the last 2 games. So, to have somebody on the perimeter, but also a bigger body that can get down, into the interior. Today he had 7 rebounds, had a couple assists. I mean, he played well all the way around today, not just making the 5 or 6 or 5 threes that he made.
Yeah, I mean, his numbers are tremendous, his shooting percentage, his rebounding. I mean, he's he's kind of an X factor that when I first talked to you about it, we really weren't saying if he would do that much or what he was kind of like you weren't sure what you were going to get out of him this season. It sounded like.
Yeah, he was somebody to me coming into the year between him and Philip Borovichinen that you could see throughout the offseason had a clearer grasp on what the team was trying to do more so than the rest because they had already played for Richard Pitino last year at New Mexico. So he to me alongside Philip were 2 players that I was trying to see, okay, we know they know the system, but physically and from a skill perspective, can they compete here? And, through 3 games against high majors, looks like, Phillips found his game. He's doing more within what he is capable of. And Jovan is kind of put the team on his back.
And I don't want to blow smoke up, the fan base here, but I was credentialed at BYU UConn up in Boston last weekend. And I saw real high level basketball in the best of the Big East there. And looking at what you've done down in Charleston, where I've been to this tournament 2 years ago, I know what goes on down there. To play the way you did today and play the way that you did against Georgia, I don't see you guys being a 6th place team in the Big East. I think you're going to be top 4 or 5 in the Big East because it's the Pitino factor there.
I mean, yeah, like we'll see. Yeah,
I don't want to like I said, I don't want to jinx it, but I have I thought Providence would be a dark horse team right now, and after I'm seeing what you guys are doing down in Charleston, and I'm also weighing it against some real positive outcomes by Villanova and Georgetown so far in the early season. I'm starting to make up a top 5 in the conference in my own mind, slowly but surely.
Yeah, I mean, I think Villanova is a really good team. I think Providence is certainly. I mean, they beat Penn State yesterday and looked a whole lot better. There's just going to be a big group of teams. And do I think that by the end of the season, Xavier's going to end up in the top 5 and not playing on Wednesday at Madison Square Garden? I think that's a huge ask of this group, but it's not impossible. And here's the thing is, they're not going to make 16 threes in every game. And they're not the 3-point discrepancy that we saw today. And I'm not trying to put a wet blanket on this. It's a fact. They're not going to make 16 threes in every game. And West Virginia is not going to shoot, and I mean West Virginia as in the opponent. The opponent's not going to shoot 6 for 22. A discrepancy of 30 points from 3 is not going to happen in every game. That's even if you mean that West Virginia makes 9 and Xavier makes 13 threes, which is not a crazy ask either way. That's an 18-point discrepancy in the game. So, what does this team look like when the threes aren't falling? What does it look like on a frustrating Tuesday night where it's not all going down from 3 and you got to scrap and claw your way on the interior to try and find your way to a win? That's what I want to see from this team. When as far as like when you talk about the prospects for what this team could be going forward, that's the kind of question that they have to answer.
Yeah, 64% pretty nice.
I mean, 64% from 3 as opposed to 27% from your opponent is just simply that's a huge ask, and that's just not going to happen every night. Which is, it's fair to say then, what happens on nights when that doesn't happen? What is this? What do you get out of this team, right? Because if you're getting 16 threes, which means what is it? 48 of your 16, 32. No, that's not right. Whatever the hell it is. 50, 54. What's 16 times 3? What's 16 times 3? 54? 48? 48? 48? Yeah, 48. God dang. 48. Can I live delete a segment off of Spaces? 48. So 48. Yeah. So 48 of your 78 points, 48 or 60 really of your 78 points either came from 3 or the free throw line. I mean, that's where if you're Xavier, you'd like to see a little bit more on the interior. That's all I'm asking. And you don't.
You said 16 versus 6. That's 10, an advantage of 10. That's 30 points.
Yeah.
You had in threes that they didn't have.
Yeah.
You broke it down. You explained why they won the game. It was because of the way they played. And congratulations. It's a big one. I'm impressed by Xavier. Those are good teams down there this year.
Yeah.
So
I think the easiest way to say it is that I still have concerns about the offense in a big way. I do not have as much concern about the shooting as I did going into the season, where I didn't know if there would be a game this year going into the year where they would make 10 or 11 threes in a game all year, and they've done that in 2 out of 3 games. They've made 16 threes. They made 32 threes in 2 of their last 3 games combined. I mean, it's crazy. So, does the offense have more flow, more consistency? Can they get more going to the basket? Can it look a little easier instead of the dump off or the contested 3? But I mean, hey, maybe this team does end up being a world beater from 3, and then it all works out.
That's the way you win.
Yep. All right. I have one more call here to get to. Appreciate you calling in, LFA. All right. Username Dad. Always one of my favorite calls because I never know how to introduce you. It's not my dad, but it is a dad. Dad, go ahead.
You got it, Paul.
What's up?
Nice to talk to you.
Great to talk to you.
They've had, in the last games, it's 16, 11, and 16.
Mm-hmm.
So, 43. If you can hit double-digit threes, you got a pretty good shot. Today, they also went, 12 of 12 from the free throw line?
Yeah.
So, obviously, they've been practicing free throws when they're tired.
Yeah.
So, you know how that goes.
Yep.
And I see you on YouTube there drinking. Is that is water, right?
Yes, that is water. That is water I'm drinking. Yes.
Great.
Yes.
But I think you stated it properly at the beginning of the podcast here, and that is that this coaching staff has really made a change in how things were going at the beginning. You looked at the way those first couple of games went. They had a couple of close wins. They had that Santa Clara game. And then I think they just changed things up. You looked at the Iowa game, they played better. I mean, still there was some issues there, but the last 3 games, they've really played well. I think the defense, like you said, going into the zone defense on occasion helps them out. You would hope that with the size that they have and the ability to rebound, they have in a couple of games. They just got out rebounded by 2, I guess, in this game. So it's getting better. They still seem to be a little slow of foot as far as on the defense. So I think that zone defense really helps them out. But I give credit to the coaching staff based off of what I saw towards the beginning of the season and what I'm seeing now. I mean, people were saying, "Oh, this team's not going to win any Big East games. They're going to win maybe 7 total games on the year." Well, they've got 4 wins now. So I think they'll win more than 3 the rest of the year going forward. So, and you have to give credit to Patino. So he gets it.
Yeah, I will give a massive credit. I tweeted it right after the game was over. A massive credit to them for, making some adjustments in the middle of a game to where if a lineup, and look, as far as adjustments go, I mean, it's the players that got to go out there and make the 16 threes. So, from that perspective, that's one thing. But setting that aside, looking at, like last game, it's not rocket science, but you go to a 2-3 zone. I mean, it's something. And it was so jarring. It was funny seeing the reaction on social media just because you hadn't seen something that jarring in the middle of a game where you just kind of throw your hands up as a coach and you say, okay, this is clearly not working. Let's do something else.
Right.
When was the last time we saw that? It's been a while. I mean, Chris Mack's 1-3-1 zone, I guess, is what you would go back to. But you never really saw, all right, this isn't working. Let's just do something completely different. And it worked. I mean, Georgia was 2 for 16 from 3 in the second half. Now it turned into the second 3 was the one that won them the game. But, just in general, I thought the way that Xavier handled themselves and the way that the lineup shifted. I mean, they were clearly trying Anthony Robinson and Pop Njai earlier in the year more than, Pop Njai didn't see a minute today. Anthony Robinson only saw 9 minutes today. He didn't score, didn't even attempt a shot, had 4 fouls in 9 minutes and 4 boards. It hasn't worked out so well for him. But if you can develop him, if you can get to a point with Anthony Robinson where you're getting decent minutes out of him, then, this team can elevate itself.
Yeah, he looks like he should be a good player. I mean, if you look at him physically, he's got the physical stature to be able to be a Big East player, but he's just got to show it.
Yeah, exactly. Anything else?
Yeah, the only other thing is, I guess you're right, Njai not playing. I think that's probably because of how he's been playing.
Yes.
So I think he just needs to earn it and in practice gets better. It seems like, on offense, he's not really a factor. And then on defense, he hasn't been a factor either. So you can't play a guy that can't contribute on one end or the other.
Yeah. Yeah. Call it like it is. He needs to figure it out on one end or the other, preferably both, but it just hasn't yet. Hasn't clicked for
Are
me.
you going to MC the baby race on Friday too, Paul?
Is there a baby race on Friday?
Oh, yeah. They got the baby blob race on Friday.
Oh, man. Is it at halftime or is it a media timeout?
Yeah, halftime, I think.
Oh, my goodness.
You're going to have to get involved.
I don't know. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll step in there and do that. I don't know what our halftime responsibilities are on ESPN on Friday. We might. I think because it's an ESPN Plus broadcast, we usually have to carry the halftime ourselves. But maybe we'll just air the halftime show, and I'll do the call live.
There you go.
Maybe we'll do that. All right. Hey,
all right, we'll see you down there.
Yeah. Have a happy Thanksgiving.
You too, Paul.
All right. I have a couple questions here on YouTube that I'm going to throw up on the screen. Couple questions about Gabe Pizzato. I talked about it the other night on the show. Do you have any idea what the timeline is or what the update is for Gabe Pizzato? And what do you think the ceiling is if he's healthy? I don't have any more of an update than what I had the other day. The only reason he wasn't at the game against Old Dominion was because he was sick. He's still going through all the evaluations and all the things that he needs to do to come back from a torn meniscus. The idea is that he would be healthy by early to mid-January, and then at that point, it's up to him and I'm sure his agent and I'm sure his family and everything else on whether he's actually going to play a minute this year for Xavier. And I'm sure, knowing Gabe, he is somebody to me that strikes me as somebody that really wants to play, but I'm sure there are other things that go into it. So we'll just continue to monitor that. I don't have any more of an update on that. And then as far as what do I think his ceiling is, or what do I think the ceiling is? I'm assuming that you mean Xavier's ceiling if he's healthy. It's really hard for me to say that a player that we haven't seen yet. Now, from what I was told, because I didn't see him practice before he tore his meniscus, from what I was told, he looked great in practice leading into the season. But that was only for 3-4 weeks, maybe 5 weeks. I don't know how long it was. I don't know when he tore it, but however long it was, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, whatever it was before he got hurt, that he had looked really good in practice. But he's going to be he will be coming off a torn meniscus. He won't have practiced for the last 5 months, 6 months, and then he's going to have to go back and try to contribute in the Big East, not in the Missouri Valley. I just really hesitate to put too many expectations on a player going into a season or going into a stretch like that, to where I'm not going to predict him to elevate the ceiling of this team when we haven't seen him yet and he's coming off a torn meniscus. I mean, there's too many times where we've seen a freshman. Now, he's not a freshman, I don't mean that, but where a freshman or new recruit, whatever, is he's the guy coming off the bench, and he's the guy coming off the bench, and he's going to be the one that saves the team or saves the season. I'm done putting expectations on players, whether it's freshmen or transfers, unless you're a surefire, like if Donovan Dent had transferred to Xavier and he had torn his meniscus. Well, okay, we know what he looks like. But for Pizzato, we saw him last year, but even last year he was a little banged up, hurt. He had a back issue. Looked great, athletic, but I just don't want to put unfair expectations on the guy before before he get into Big East play, or before we've actually seen him contribute here at this level. So we're thinking maybe only Big East runner-up, not champs. Yeah, sure. That's what it is. Maybe not champs without Pizzato, but maybe runners-up. Yeah, there you go. Any more calls? Anybody else have anything that they want to add before we get out of here? I've been going for about 45 minutes here on the show. Again, if you want to go back and listen, I think what I'll do is I will play this at the end of tomorrow's Rebound Rundown. I know some people have been in and out of this, checking in and out. So I will play this post-game show audio on the back end of tomorrow morning's Rebound Rundown. Make sure, if you haven't already, you subscribe to the show, subscribe on YouTube, all audio platforms. It's been a really fun start to the year. The other thing you can do that we just started with this year, or in the last couple of days, is leave a voicemail for the Rebound Rundown. Have 3 already on deck that we're going to play for tomorrow. Some really good ones, creative ones, and we're just going to keep those moving. So if you want to call into the Rebound Rundown, you just leave a message. I download it. I put it in the show. It's 330-REBOUND. Call in. 330-REBOUND. That's 330-732-6863. 330-732-6863. You can leave a voicemail. I'll play it. I'll answer it on the Rebound Rundown the next day. And, try to be as creative as you can. Be creative, ask a question, leave a comment, do whatever you want, and it'll make its way into the show. But I appreciate all of you watching and listening here tonight. And we'll be live again. Enjoy your Thanksgiving. I will have the broadcast with Steve Wolf on Friday night on ESPN Plus for Xavier and Texas A&M Corpus Christi. That game will tip off, I believe, at 5 o'clock. Let me check here real quick. 5:30 on ESPN Plus. Xavier has 2 bye games remaining before the Crosstown Shootout. Xavier does not play a high major team outside of Cincinnati before Big East play starts. So over the next 3 weeks, it's Texas A&M Corpus Christi, St. Francis, and it's the Crosstown Shootout. Then it's Missouri State, and then it's Creighton. So Xavier has 4 games before Big East play starts. 3 of them are bye games. 1 is the Crosstown Shootout. Appreciate all of you watching. Appreciate all of you listening. Appreciate all of you subscribing. Tell your family and friends about the show on the Rebound Rundown. Thanks, everybody, and have a happy Thanksgiving, and I'll talk to you soon.